Joshua Baez hits a nuke and is immediately sent down to the minor leagues, so the Cardinals roster is looking set. Plus, two Cardinals pitchers making some key changes already look like they're ready to dominate during the season. Welcome into the St. Louis Cardinals Daily Podcast. My name is Andrew Teuscher, and the Joshua Baez hype train has enough fuel in it to go around the country a million times. He has been phenomenal this weekend. The prospect that many people are getting hyped about more, only behind J.J. Weatherholt potentially, with what he could be for the Cardinals going forward because of what he did in the minor leagues, showing pop, showing insane power along with speed and athleticism and the ability to potentially play center field at 6'3", 200-something pounds. This dude looks like he could be an all-star for the Cardinals for years to come, but for now, he's getting sent down to the minor leagues despite having an incredible weekend. Just to recover his performance just today, which would finalize his being sent down, he had his third homer in 3 days in the seventh inning versus the Orioles, where he had a 109.4 mile an hour home run off the bat. It went 416 feet. That's his second 400-foot home run in 3 days. And his spring stats are just remarkable. 10 games, 3 home runs to lead the club, 333 average, 417 on base, and a 762 slug. He has been everything and more for the Cardinals, and we're excited to see him eventually. But the Cardinals will not be seeing him on opening day, at least not the St. Louis Cardinals. The Memphis Redbirds, however, will be getting lots of Joshua Baez. As Joshua Baez, Cooper Jerpy, Bryson Motts, Nick Raquet, and Quinn Matthews have all been optioned to AAA to start the season. It doesn't come as a massive surprise, as we talked on yesterday's podcast. Joshua Baez, despite looking like a freaking animal in spring training, was bound to start in AAA anyway. And Chaim Bloom had said as much. He wants people to master AAA before coming up to the big leagues and getting everyday play. And then said that's the very reason why he got sent down, was they wanted to guarantee everyday playing time. It makes a lot of sense. Let Jordan Walker or Victor Scott or whomsoever play their way out of their spot fully before we bring up Joshua Baez so he can get everyday reps. He's showing he probably is ready for the big leagues already. Like, mastering AAA, he mastered AA, and is now mastering minor league plus pitching. Like, the guys he's seeing in spring training might not all be MLB pitchers, but they're definitely AAA and up pitchers at this point, as a lot of the guys who are in single A and double A and below have already been passed on and sent down. He's doing legitimate damage to the better pitchers you'll see in spring training. It's still spring training. We're not trying to get over our skis, but he's showing he might be ready for the big league roster, but because of the lack of everyday playing time and the fact that they want to be careful with him, I think it makes a lot of sense. I fully agree with it, and I'd like to see Joshua Baez up in the second half of the season. And shoot, if he's killing it and Jordan Walker and Victor Scott are having their worst potential outcomes, sure, maybe sooner. But we're excited to see Joshua Baez whenever we will finally get him. And Baez knows that he is that guy. He had a great interview on KMOV. You can go find it on X. Had an awesome interview. Guy just is very down to earth and just realizes who he is and what he's able to do while still remaining some kind of humble. He got asked in that interview about, what do you have to do to improve and make the major league roster? He said, I'm there. The only thing I have to do is, quote, compete, be a good teammate, and just continue to learn. I'm sure the coaching staff have talked a lot with him and have been very clear, and I'm loving what I'm hearing from a lot of the players. Just a lot of openness about what's going on, and a lot of them are just relaxed on what they're having going on in spring training. We'll talk about Pallante has said that specifically he's more relaxed in this spring training than he's ever been. When there's no pressure to win and there's less pressure to make the big league club for some other guys, it's easy to be relaxed and play your best baseball, and that's what Ali Marmol and others are helping do, and they're being very communicative. A guy like Joshua Baez knew fully today that he was going to be optioned down, went out, played great anyway, and he's not stressed about a thing. He's not upset and stewing in the clubhouse. He's ready to compete and be with the boys and contribute whenever he can, and that's awesome. What else is awesome is that the Cardinals are really starting to get a clear picture of what our opening day roster might look like, at least as far as position players go. It's pretty much set. It's not officialized. The Cardinals still have, I believe, like 45 or 46 people on the technically on the active roster because we have a million pitchers that still need to be decided, some placed on IL. Regardless, our position players are set. The starting 9 in no particular order. These are just the guys who will be in the starting lineup in some way, most likely at least, are Ivan Herrera, Pedro Paez, Alec Burleson at first, Nolan Gorman at third, Mason Wynn at short, J.J. Weatherholt at second. The only projection here is that Thomas Saggese, we don't technically know if he'll be in the starting lineup. I'm guessing he will be in left field playing for Team Italia right now, taking espresso shots in the dugout. Jordan Walker will be the starting right fielder, and Victor Scott II will be the starting center fielder. And so the only other players on the active roster, other than those 9 guys who are expected to be starters, are Ramon Arias, who's expected to be a bench bat, Jose Fermin, who's expected to be a utility outfield-infield guy, Joel Pozo, who's well beyond hit his way onto the big league roster, big guy Slim Thick, we'll now call him, and Nathan Church will most likely be making the roster because only other guy on there is Lars Nootbaar. And technically, J.J. Weatherholt isn't on the active roster yet because he's not on the 40-man. Well, as soon as the Cardinals have to finally make the last roster decisions, they'll place Nootbaar on the IL, which will open up a 40-man spot for J.J. Weatherholt. It's set. Those are your 13 players who will be starting for the Cardinals or on the opening day roster as far as hitters go. And the pitching has a little bit yet to be decided. Well, we're getting very, very close to the start of spring training. We're under 3 weeks away from opening day. So this is awesome. Exciting stuff. We know what we're getting. Left field has been decided. Sorry, Joshua Baez. You will not be playing left field for the St. Louis Cardinals on opening day, but we have some good options that we can be excited for it. And this was well pointed out by Jeff Jones. So if you want to see all this written out really well, go over on X and see Jeff Jones. He's got all of it written out for you there. We got to talk about Ultra, though. Ultra is an excellent option for folks who are looking for something that will give them a little bit of a jolt without giving you those horrible cortisol spikes. Ultra pouches are a great alternative to something like Adderall or nicotine, whatever, caffeine, whatever you're using. Get yourself some Ultra pouches. These pouches have no nicotine or caffeine in them and give you the same kick without the massive cortisol spike. Ultra is the ultimate guilt-free pouch, delivering instant focus and mental clarity without nicotine or caffeine. New customers can use code FANARCH like you see below. Get 15% off at takeultra.com. That's takeultra.com for 15% off. Use code FANARCH. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them from. Please let them know that we sent you. Show your support in that way. I appreciate it. Moving on, the Cardinals hitters are doing well, and we're getting lots of clarity there, and we're getting more clarity with the pitchers too, and especially in the starting rotation. Some guys are cementing their spots in the starting rotation, and very much including Mr. Matthew Liberatore, who's had an excellent spring training for himself thus far, and he really put a dagger in it this past performance against the Orioles. What's really been popping is the strikeout numbers. So 5 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 earned runs. That's fine in 5 innings. But 7 strikeouts through 5 innings for Matthew Liberatore. It's been a guy who's shown good stuff, but the strikeouts were never necessarily like a thing for him. He never looked like that strike you out, dominate you kind of guy before this spring training. And I went back and looked. He was good last spring training. And had an even better spring training, to be honest with you, last season. But his strikeouts were what we had seen from him previously. Matthew Liberatore, who had been working on a new pitch, he hasn't thrown it a ton yet, but his other stuff just looks so good that he is dominating players in spring training. And again, more than he's done. It's spring training. He's going up against lesser competition. But even last spring training, he wasn't as strikeout heavy as he is this year without walking guys. Again, 0 walks in his last start to 7 strikeouts, and his spring stats are now up to 10 innings pitched, 14 strikeouts through 10 innings, and only 1 walk. That's phenomenal. That is ace stuff for Matthew Liberatore if he can keep it up with a 2.70 ERA. I don't think Matthew Liberatore is a legitimate ace. Hopefully, that'd be awesome if that's what he turned into, but Libby looks like he could be a guy who's a legitimate 3-starter. Number 3 for your rotation, which would be a phenomenal outcome for all the development that we've seen Matthew Liberatore go through. Apparently, he's been one of the leaders in the clubhouse, especially amongst the pitching staff, right next to Dustin May as being the old vets guy there. We look like we might have a nice righty-lefty combo at the Cardinals, top of the Cardinals rotation between Dustin May and Matthew Liberatore. And we love to see more of it going in spring training, and hopefully it converts into the regular season. And another guy we hope keeps performing in the regular season as he has in spring is Andre Pallante. He was a guy who was down on his laurels last year. He was talking about how he just wasn't having fun. Every time he'd go out there, he was a ball of anxiousness that just didn't want to pitch because he didn't say he didn't want to pitch, but he was scared to pitch because he didn't want to make a mistake. He didn't want to mess up. He knew everybody was watching him. He could feel the bad aura, I'm sure, in the stadium because that dude had a 5 ERA last year, 5.31 ERA last year. That ain't going to play. Every Cardinals fan was calling for anyone else to be pitching, including myself. And Pallante has come into spring training, pitched himself well back into the rotation, what was not a guaranteed spot. And on Sunday, he kept up that performance against the Marlins, pitching 4 innings, only 2 hits, 1 earned run, only 1 walk, and 3 strikeouts. That makes his spring stats up to 9 innings pitched, 7 strikeouts to 2 walks. Still not a big strikeout guy. That's not who he is. And a 3 ERA, much better than what we saw before. And Ali Marmol says this is the best we've seen of him. He said, quote, "What we're seeing out of him today is probably the best version of Pallante we've seen, in my opinion." And Ali's been here the entire time Pallante's been here, and Pallante's been good in years past. His first 3 seasons before having a terrible, terrible season last year, he pitched 297 innings through his first 3 seasons to a 3.78 ERA and 108 ERA plus. If we get that Andre Pallante, his career average before last year, Cardinals fans will be ecstatic. A guy who's a number 4 or 5 in a rotation, but solidly there, and someone who you're not dreading seeing pitch every single day like we were last year. Well, what's changed for Pallante? Is it just good luck and spring stats? He's been working on legitimate pitch change. He came up, as Derek Gould explained, with his fastball being his gimmick. He had a trick pitch, he called it, because it didn't move like a normal fastball, and it threw hitters off. But hitters, both righties and lefties, ended up coming around and getting used to it. They got a scouting report out on what kind of movement it had, and they started knocking him around. His fastball was getting hit around for a 330 average against his 4-seamer was. That obviously won't play if you can't even throw a fastball, at least not in a starting rotation. Move over to the bullpen maybe, but this year he had to prove it, and he's come in. He's coming with 2 new pitches that he's throwing. 1 new for the first time and 1 significantly more. His sinker has been a big pitch for him so far in spring training, throwing it significantly more than he was last season. Only 13% of the time last year was he throwing that sinker. And this spring training, I don't have the exact percentage because they don't track spring training stats this closely, but he's been throwing it significantly more, and it's been looking excellent for him, as you can see by his results. And the other thing he's gained is a changeup. We've talked about it a while ago, but it's worth bringing up again. He's developed a kick change, and that's separate from a splitter that he already kind of dabbled with a little bit. He went to, quote, changeup camp with Matt Pichard, the guy we acquired in the Rule 5 draft, to help him learn this kick change and work on his grip. He was already working on it in the offseason, and he's found Matt Pichard, who already throws it as well and has been trying to learn it from him. He said he and Pichard got together, and they threw 30 or 40 changeups back and forth, trying to get a good grip on it. The kick change is significant for you put your finger up on it, jagged, in a really weird shape. It makes it move not nearly as vertically and more side to side, which is exactly what he's working on. He said the changeup isn't exactly where he wants it to be, is Pallante. He wants a little less vertical and a little more horizontal movement on it, but it's been working when it's been thrown. And Pallante's sinker has been an excellent change as well. And what's funny is that Matt Pichard is who is teaching Pallante his changeup, and Matt Pichard said that he learned his changeup from another former Marlins teammate, George Soriano, who is also now on the Cardinals. Pallante's got plenty of teachers to learn his changeup from, and hopefully we'll see him get back to where he was before. You guys let me know in the comment section. What do you think? Do you think Pallante can return to form? Do you think Liberatore can be a legitimate 1 or 2 in our rotation when we're actually competitive? And what do you think of our hitters being set and for those 13 guys? I'm excited for the season. I'm excited to see Baez eventually. When do you guys want to see him? So leave that in the comment section below. And don't forget to subscribe. We're well over 1K subscribers already because you guys are phenomenal. Thank you for being here and tuning in to the St. Louis Cardinals Daily Podcast. Again, my name is Andrew Teuscher. Appreciate you tuning in. And don't forget to tell a loved one, Skull Birds.